Water. A magical resource that modern man takes for granted every single day. But spend months in a remote camp or bugged out, and your appreciation for this resource and complex modern water infrastructure will change. I can say that after having lived off-grid around the United States in remote places for years, I'll never look at a faucet or a spigot the same again.
We're going to knock out another remote camp and bug out logistics video today, guys, because I'm super busy on the ranch. I don't have time to do anything like really fun. I was going to do 9mm and shit at the fan, but it's going to have to wait. Anyways, we're going to talk about water, which is just not exciting at all, right? It's not exciting. But this is how you know you're a real survivalist or a real prepper. That you clicked on this video and you're watching it right now, man. And if you get all the way to the end, give yourself a freaking high five. Because most people, most survivalists and preppers, they get on YouTube in the evening or whatever, and what are they watching, man? They're watching like Garand Thumb videos and knife videos and stuff. And gear videos. But gear is, there's so much more that's important than the gear that you're packing. And most survivalists and preppers, they're just cosplaying it, man. They're LARPers. They're not the real deal, like you and me, okay? They're not. Because people that are the real deal focus on boring topics like water, because guess what? You need water every single day. Just about. You need a constant supply of water to survive. You need shelter to survive, because without it, you're going to be exposed and you're going to fucking die, right? You need food to survive. Do you need a gun? Not if you're smart. No. And even in shit hit the fan, man, let's look at a 365-day year. How many days out of that year are you going to use a gun to keep your ass alive? How many days? You can just basically pull a number out of a hat, right? Because you don't really know. It kind of depends on where you live, too. If you live in a shitty place right now, you might have to use a gun every freaking day to try to survive. But if you're smart, you won't have to. You won't even need a gun to survive. Most survivalists and preppers think that shit at the fan is going to turn into some giant, like, freaking free-for-all. Like, them against the rest of the world. And they're just going to be, like, out there playing Rambo and shit, you know? It wasn't my war. You asked me. I didn't ask you. I was in this bar in Saigon, and this kid came up with his shoe shine box, and he's like, shine, shine. And the box was wired, and he opened it, he blew his body all over the place. Everyone thinks they're going to be playing Rambo, and they're going to survive this shit, man. And they're not. If you're going to go into shit at the fan playing Rambo, you're going to get whacked. I would rather focus on more intelligent stuff. Not that that firearms is not a part of my focus, but it shouldn't be everything, right? It's the everyday stuff you need to survive every day that you really need to be focusing on. Water is one of those things. So here we go. Let's talk about it, dude. So having spent years and years of my life in remote camps, there's really 4 things that I think about when it comes to making sure you have water. And this applies to remote camping. It applies to bugging out. It also applies if you're sheltering in place. Okay, because if, let's say we have some massive power outage of the permanent variety, such as an EMP, and the pumps at the water treatment plant are done. They're effectively shut off permanently. So the first one is hauling water, meaning that you're bringing it with you when you go to wherever it is you're going. The second option is to have water cached where you're going already. So it's already stored there. You don't have to carry it with you. Option number 3 is to have the means of catching water. Right? It's going to fall out of the sky at some point. Do you have the means to capture it and hold it And then the fourth thing, which is the smartest one, is to be going to a remote camp or a bug out spot or whatever that already has water there and a good clean source of water. So let's go through these from the first through the fourth and just kind of talk about the details. And I'm just going to vomit my thoughts out there. You guys know on this channel, it's always a conversation. So feel free to chime in down below, add your 2 cents. While we're at it, guys, like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So the first thing, hauling water in. With all the time I've spent doing remote camping, I think the largest concern regarding hauling water is the weight of it and the dynamic properties of water. And so let me explain what the dynamic properties, because everyone knows water is fairly heavy, right? It's like a little over 8 pounds per gallon. I think it's like 8.2 per gallon. But water is very dynamic. And I have a family member that used to operate a water truck for the county during fire season. And I think it was like a 15,000 gallon truck. But the rule is that the truck was either full or the truck was empty. And the reason is because when you have water in a tank and now there's all this air, that water can now move around and it magnifies forces. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going around a hill and you have this water that is moving to one side, or you're slamming on the brakes and all that water is suddenly propelled forward and is increasing the weight of the vehicle because of its momentum. So water can be very dangerous as a dynamic force. Like, think about this. Let's say you were taking off in your pickup truck to your bug out spot and you have a collapsible water tank. So the kind that you can just like empty and roll them up and put a bungee cord around them and stick them away somewhere in your garage. But you could also lay that out in the bed of your truck and fill it up. Well, that tank, because it is soft and it's not defined, even if it's full, it's a dynamic force. If you get in an accident on your way to your bug out spot, you could have all 250 gallons of that collapsible tank end up on top of you. It can go through the back of your cab and literally end up on top of you. It could crush you and kill you before it has a chance to break and leak out of the bag. So something to think about. Also, baffles. I don't know if a lot of people know what baffles are, but hard tanks, especially on like sailboats, because of all the motion, what they'll do is they will weld in baffles, which is like a kind of like a grate. And what it does is it slows the water from moving between the different chambers that have the baffles on them. And so it reduces the dynamic force of water. I've got a whole bunch of different kinds of tanks that I use, guys. I have like an RV tank that I pulled out of an RV. I've had tanks that were installed in some of my rigs that I used. I also have like some big 6-gallon like blue jugs that I will take and fill completely and ratchet strap down in the back of a truck or something like that. Something to make sure they're secure so they're not going to, become a missile if I have to slam on the brakes. And also, I pretty much always have carried some 1-gallon jugs. And these are just jugs that I, bought at like Walmart that were full of water. And I always try to buy the heavier duty style jug with like a harder plastic handle on top, because you can reuse these things over and over and over again. And it's really easy if you're out camped like 200 yards from a nice spring. Just take a couple of these empty 1-gallon jugs with you in the morning, walk down, maybe bring your dishes and wrapped in a towel or something like that, and get those done while you're down there and haul a couple of gallons of water back to camp. Another type of water container I really like are these collapsible bottles. And they're, shit, I always get this wrong. I want to say that Nalgene makes them, but I don't think it's Nalgene. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to look them up, but they're really handy because you can collapse them down, fold them up, put them in a pack, leave one under the seat in your truck if you want to. And if you find yourself in a situation where you need to haul some water to camp, you have a container just stashed away that can get it done for you. And they tend to last for a long time as well. Now, do you want to be in a situation where you have to haul water to a bug out spot or a remote camp? Like, you really don't. It's really not ideal. What it means is that wherever it is you're going, you can only stay there for so long because you brought the water with you, right? There isn't a source there that you could just capitalize on every day. So the idea that you have to haul water, it's something that you should really think about. You should really ask yourself, okay, how can I, take care of one of the three other things that I need to be thinking about as opposed to hauling it. Next, we're going to talk about the second thing, which is caching water. Caching water is obviously smarter than hauling it there with you. But all caching really means is that you hold it there at a previous time, and so now it's stored. So let's say if you have to bug out, you know you already have the water there. You don't have to bring it with you. You don't have to deal with the dynamic load of it, the additional weight, and all that kinds of stuff. And depending on what kind of rig you're rocking as your bug out vehicle, having to take a whole bunch of water with you during your bug out maneuver could be a no-go. So although caching is an option, it's still not that great. Now, when it comes to catchment options, there's a lot of ways you could get this done. You could bury septic tanks out there underground and fill those up. That would allow you to store a lot of water, and it would be hidden. You can buy the large black potable tanks, haul them out there in the back of a pickup truck. I've moved them around plenty of times in the back of this F-250. But you could get those out there and have a water truck come out and fill those up, or you can do it a different way. You could take advantage of a seasonal source of water and throw a bucket in that water, throw a sump pump in the bucket, and run a hose into your tank and fill that up. That way you know that you've got water if you have to bug out during the time of year where that seasonal source is dried up. There's a lot of ways to get that done, guys. Just kind of think outside the box. You could even store the little 16.9 ounce bottles of water or gallon-sized bottles of water or whatever it's going to be. Third, we're going to talk about catchment. Again, there's a lot of ways to get this done, and you can go from using the roof of a rig of yours. You could even catch water out of the bed of a pickup truck. But that's not a lot of catchment area. So that's one of the things you really want to think about is you want to have a large enough area where it's really going to capitalize on some rainfall. I don't know where you live, man, but I mean, you guys have seen where I live. It's high desert. There just is not a lot of rain out here. And so if I'm going to depend on catchment, it's got to be sizable. And that's why we have gutters and tanks on almost every building here on the ranch. So we can take advantage of those surfaces. But you can use concrete pads that are large enough as catchment. If you were living in a city, you could use all kinds of surfaces in a city. If you were in the right place and kind of on a grade, you could find a way to divert water out of a drain before it goes down into one of the storm drains, but just how it runs along the side of the asphalt where the curb is, you could find a way to divert that onto your property and into a tank. Could attract the wrong kind of attention. You can use large tarps as catchment surfaces. You can use visqueen. So there's a lot of options, guys. Again, think outside the box. Does your catchment need to be mobile? Does it need to be something that you can bring in a rucksack with you? Is it something you should cache at your bug out property? Should you leave a roll of clear visqueen out there so you could lay it out and create a catchment surface on like a slight grade? Last but certainly not least, guys, would be making sure you're going to a place that already has a usable source of water there. And does it have to be usable in the sense that you can drink right out of it? No, you can bring a filter with you, but I'm going to just say that it's ideal, obviously, that you can just drink right out of the water. And let's talk about that for a minute, because people are so freaked out about drinking out of just natural waterways or even man-made waterways that have been there for years now. Like my wife was going to college years ago, and she had to do this class on like part of the class involved water treatment facilities. And what she found in her studies was that 90% of the waterways in the United States are man-made. They are not natural waterways, and that is why they have to be stocked with fish, many of them, because they don't have the right aquatic plants to keep the fish alive. It's a different topic. I don't think we really need to get into whether or not the fish at your chosen bug out location are native and are going to be able to like replenish themselves as you're taking them and shit hit the fan. I don't think we need to get into that in this video because we're just focused on water. But, you know, is that waterway a man-made waterway? Does it depend on water being let out of dams way upstream of it? Like, where does it come from? That's something that you want to ask yourself. So obviously natural waterways are going to be the best because they're not dependent on man to do anything to keep flowing. Back to talking about viruses, because I kind of sidetracked myself there, but people are so scared of this, guys. Who watches the Outdoor Boys? I think it's entertaining, man. I'll put the Outdoor Boys on sometimes and just play it in the background and just let YouTube just do its thing. The guy gets out to these really remote places where there's like not another living human for 50 miles. There's fresh snow melt in the creeks and the rivers. It's like super clear. You can see all the way to the bottom, and there's still snow on the ground. And guess what he does? It always drives me nuts. He gets the water and he boils it before he drinks it, man. Like, you don't have to boil that water. You do need to make sure you know what is upstream of it in case an animal carcass is laying in it rotting or something like that. But guys, all the viruses that everybody is scared of, those are prevalent around human populations. The more populated the area that you are in, the more likely there's going to be viruses in the water. That's right. Humans are dirty as fuck, right? We are. But if you get away from that, like if you're out where I am, it's not really a concern to me. I'm not going to say I'm not prepared, that I don't have the right tools to filter out that kind of stuff. Because I make plenty of trips down to the butthole of freaking California and shit like that, and I'm surrounded by people. I can't stand it. As your situation changes, you have to adapt, right? You have to change. You have to be prepared for that. Out here, I feel like I can just walk through the woods. It's literally 80 miles through the national forest right next to the ranch here before I'm going to run into some more people. There is actually one ranch in between, so I guess it's probably about 40 miles, okay? But I can walk through that distance, man. I know where some of the natural springs are. I might very well know where all of them are. I just don't want to make the assumption that they're all on the map. Okay. But you know, I can walk all the way to a bug out spot of mine that is over 80 miles away from here. And I have water sources along the way that I feel that I can drink out of even without filters, and I'm not going to die from it. Let me share my experiences a little bit when I was living on the road off grid for all those years. And that is that this guy drank out of all kinds of natural sources of water and bodies of water without ever boiling it and without ever filtering it. Seriously. I've done it all over the damn place, guys. And I'm still here. I'm still breathing. You know, I mean, I don't even think I got any parasites out of it. Okay. I would probably know by now if parasites were a problem. I think I'm going to wrap it right there, guys. Comments down below. Thoughts. What did I skim over too much? What did I miss? What do you guys think about the video? Make sure you like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon link in the description down below if you like what I'm doing. I have a ton of additional content on there for my patrons. Also, a cool ass like survivalist / prepper support group that we have on Signal. Pretty cool. So that's it, guys. Keep prepping, man. Keep getting ready. And I'll see you in the next video.